A very warm welcome, Free. It's an absolute pleasure to be speaking with you in this first of our podcast series where we explore Usada and the people who are bringing in wisdom to Usada, to Ubud, and to the larger community. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here. Very happy to be associated with Usada as well.
We've got a fabulous backstory from what I've managed to capture.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful in today's time to have somebody like you who's like a wisdom elder, who's been doing this for such a long time, and to bring in that wisdom. So I'm going to ask you to share some of your backstory with all our listeners.
Yeah, sure. So I am from Australia, and in my 20s, my late 20s, I started to spend a lot of time in nature. And by being in nature, by myself, like hiking, trekking, camping in Australia, which is very beautiful, and very wilderness places, very silent and quiet places. And I used to sit just in the bush, and I had a thought, if I was a rock, what would I be experiencing? And then I would stand and I would say, if I was a tree now, what would I be experiencing? Actually, quite abstract thoughts, and I never thought like that in my life. Sure. And this is where I understand something about my karma has brought me to this path, for sure. So with those karmic thoughts arising and me practicing, I realized, oh, I think I'm meditating. I should find a teacher. And so that's what I did. In fact, I found my good karma, I met a Vipassana meditation master in Australia. He had been a Buddhist monk and was then teaching what I would call kind of freestyle Vipassana. Yeah. Although there was some particular style to it, he was quite relaxed and it was very casual, but still very deep, and very deep for me.
Sure.
The first time I met Vipassana, honestly, in one of the talks at night, he said, the future doesn't exist, and just kept talking. Meanwhile, my head exploded, and I was like, the future doesn't exist. Oh. And I had multiple reactions to that. One was, I knew it was true. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Another one was, why somebody didn't tell me? I'm 29 years old and nobody told me that the future doesn't exist. And then I realized, and I was disappointed, I realized my whole life, my mind was in the future. Projecting. And I think that there are kind of personalities in that way as well. Some people are kind of living in the past, and some people are just constantly projecting. It doesn't mean one's better or worse than the others, but in a way, we're both lost.
We're both lost. Fair point.
And that was what I realized. I was like, I was always living in my future projection, my own imagination, and not living in my reality. So, and this was on my first retreat, my first teacher. So it was a huge realization, and I had so many realizations on that retreat. And then on that retreat, I decided, so this is meditation, it's Vipassana, it's Buddhist meditation, then I'm going to Myanmar, because I'd visited Myanmar, and when I was there, it's like all the things you visit in Myanmar are all tourist objects mostly, you know, pagodas and temples and all such things. So I said, I'm going to become a Buddhist monk. And first retreat.
First retreat.
Again, that's my karma.
But and also that speaks to the power of the Vipassana technique, that you could see the truth that it would deliver at the get-go.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it hasn't let me down in the last 30 plus years that I've been practicing. And that's why I keep sharing it, because I know that if people can just sit, listen, feel, be in their experience, they can also have these awakenings and realizations of their own true nature. If I understand my true nature, I understand your true nature. And pretty much we can copy paste because we're all made up of fundamentally the same true nature. I understand mine, I can understand all things. So in this way, I realized, so what I did was I went from retreat to retreat to retreat in Australia, this Vipassana teacher, that one, this place, that place. And then I, having already decided I would be a monk, I met a master in Australia and he said, come to my monastery. And I said, I will do that. So I then backpacked through Asia, through Indonesia, even probably passed through Ubud, and then went to Myanmar. I arrived in Myanmar with about 20 cents Australian, I think, and some Thai baht, and I had no return ticket, basically no money, and I was there, and that's what I did. I thought I'd stay 2 or 3 months. I stayed nearly 2.5 years.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So
from the bush to the Himalaya.
Well, yeah.
Or rather, from the bush to
to
the Buddha.
Myanmar. Yeah. So it was really that. Obviously, was a very transformative experience.
For sure.
And yeah, that then led me on to practicing Vipassana, not only as a monk, but also afterwards when I disrobed in 2002. So it was about 9 years I was a monk. And people were asking me to teach as a monk. But people saw me as an authority. So a question that often comes up is, why did you disrobe? So they're thinking, was there something wrong with being a monk? Nothing wrong. It depends on the individual. And I know many people have continued to be monks and will probably continue their whole life. For myself, I was very curious. I'm always curious. So I thought, what if I'm not a monk? What if I take what I know now and go back to the world and teach it? And at some point, I really wanted to be a teacher. And my topic was Vipassana. So I'm not so deeply skilled in the teachings of the Buddha or the scriptures, etc. I know enough to back up what I present, and of course the teachings are available for everyone to research and find for themselves. I also occasionally check the teachings, go back and see, well, where does this come from? What does this mean? How can this help me and help others? So yeah, I feel I have a very nice mix of the Vipassana, the practice, the universal practice, but then also the backing up of those teachings as well. My teacher was a Buddhist scholar, so we were very lucky to receive very profound, not only teachings, as in transmitted teachings, but also the technique and the way to practice.
Thank you. That's so beautiful to articulate. That would be like a 35-year journey in 5 minutes that you did share.
To now, yes.
Just for our listeners, I'm sure a lot of our listeners have practiced Vipassana, but coming from somebody who's been a monk, who's been in the system for so long and seen it from different perspectives, could you just articulate the essence of Vipassana very briefly before we come to freestyle? Okay,
sure. So something that many people do not know is that Vipassana is not just the 10-day silent sitting meditation retreat. If you go to Myanmar, you will find there are many schools of Vipassana and many outstanding masters of Vipassana. My teacher's teacher developed his own technique for Vipassana. My teacher then, and the teachers that were under that great master, they taught that style that was developed by that teacher. I practiced that style for many years. And then I also started to explore with different teachers in Myanmar. So there are many different teachers, such as there's Mogok Sayadaw. His style of Vipassana is a very interesting, it's taking the teaching of dependent origination and almost like a referring back to the teaching and then your practice and the teaching and your practice. Another great Sayadaw is Paok Sayadaw. He takes the teachings from the Visuddhimagga and he follows that very strictly. And that means that even through the path of Vipassana, you develop jhana, which is deep concentration, and even the abilities to see your past lives and other amazing things like that. So my teacher's teacher is Mahasi Sayadaw. He teaches Mahasi Sayadaw's technique of Vipassana. But now my teacher is Sayadaw U Tejaniya. His master, who I was blessed and lucky enough to meet, he quite possibly could be one arahant, enlightened being that I met in this lifetime.
Beautiful.
He was very small and he needed a microphone to talk to even a small group of people. His voice was very soft. But that man, that human, that monk was what I would call, he looked like a hologram.
Wow. Wow.
He was almost,
In the pure.
yeah, almost like translucent. He was present, but you felt like you could see through him. He had nothing like solid, nothing, like no ego, I can say.
In the pure Buddhist tradition, he had become nothing.
Yes, and I just got goosebumps just talking about it. And meeting someone like that is very, very inspiring and yeah, it's very needed. Unfortunately, he's passed away, but his disciple is the one that I follow.
Sure.
And he is really what I would call the father of freestyle Vipassana for me.
Wow.
Of course, many other teachers teach in their own style. So he even says, I don't have a formula. He said, I don't have a style, which is almost then looking a bit like Zen Buddhism or some other Cha'an practices or other teachers from around the world. And it's very beautiful because it still has Vipassana.
Yeah.
It still has the backing of 2,500 years of
Absolutely.
not only traditional teaching, but as I've said, the backup of the scriptures, but a technique that is almost no technique.
Yeah.
That's why it sounds a bit Zen.
Yeah.
But that's what I also embody and carry. It's a part of my practice, which means, and when I look back, so I'll go on to freestyle Vipassana, when I looked at the teachings, which I had done from the beginning, but I was looking at the Satipatthana Sutta.
Yeah.
Those, again, who practiced the 10-day retreats, if they've done many of those retreats, afterwards they can do the practice of Satipatthana in the Goenka tradition. Yeah. Our teaching is to look directly at that from the beginning.
Sure.
And it's certainly something that I incorporate into all of my retreats.
Wow.
And to me, that is freestyle because the Buddha didn't teach Vipassana per se.
Yeah.
So this in itself is very, I believe, very profound, very beautiful, but very practical. So I take the good teachings from these masters that I've met in this lifetime and I bring those into what I call freestyle because Vipassana in the true sense, that which we take from the Satipatthana Sutta, that is freestyle.
Sure.
So I'm not creating my own style. I'm a little bit making a statement that Vipassana is freestyle. And in this way, it becomes a universal teaching.
Fair.
And that's what Goenka, one of the magic things that Goenka was able to do. He was able to take that Buddhist teaching, define it down into a technique, and basically copy-pasted it.
Everywhere.
And it works perfectly. It's for everyone. It's not just for Buddhists. It's for humans who want to understand themselves, understand their own true nature, understand the nature of universe, and of course then it goes into other topics like understanding karma.
Yeah.
The 10-day courses also end in metta.
Metta.
They do metta at the end of the retreat. For myself, I introduce metta. Actually, I do forgiveness on the first day on my retreats, because we all have things that we regret about life.
Sure.
And we don't notice it. Maybe we do when we're falling asleep or when we spend time on our own. But on a retreat, you're really on your own.
Yeah.
You're really silent and not chatting with other people. And this is where old stuff starts to bubble up to the surface.
Sure.
So even on a 10-day retreat, your first 10-day retreat, stuff comes up that you thought you forgot or you didn't know that you remembered.
Absolutely.
When that comes up, that's when we can use forgiveness.
Sure.
To understand the past and to let go of the past. Not just pretending it didn't happen, but understanding.
Sure.
And through that wisdom, through that wisdom of understanding the mistakes that we made, then we can make a determination, I'm not going to do that again. And so with the practice of forgiveness, to understand what we did in the past, and the practice of mindfulness, which comes together with forgiveness, and then the practice of metta, this loving kindness, universal loving kindness, unconditional loving kindness, starting with self, love, loving kindness. These three pretty much amazing tools, or ways, techniques, methods, and even they start to become your lifestyle. So coming on a retreat, you learn how to use these tools on retreat, because it's the perfect place to learn, of course. No other distractions, no phone, no chatting. You're not in your normal worldly life.
Yeah.
So you're practicing those tools, and then hopefully people can then carry those into their life. And really this is what I would like to help people to understand.
Sure.
That a Vipassana retreat, or even Vipassana itself, is not just something you do a retreat and tick the box and say, oh, I did Vipassana, now I'll go and do this, that, and whatever. You can, of course, everyone's free to practice whatever. But the essence of Vipassana is giving you tools that you can continue to practice throughout your entire life.
Sure.
So this is the beauty.
Sure. That's so beautiful, the way you've articulated the differences as well as, to a large extent, your message, which we'll come to again.
Sure.
One question I had for you is that a lot of people ask us, what is the role of a lineage? So you've spent 9 years as a monk. I lived 7 years in my guru's house. So and it's been many years since I left also.
Yes.
There was lineage, and then I chose not to. So from your perspective, how important is it to have lineage, and how important is it to maybe not have also at some point?
Yeah, I think it's a really beautiful foundation. And in order to spend 9 years, 7 years, in a way what you're doing is you're committing. You're dropping into that and you're saying, okay, in my experience, I said, whatever my teacher tells me to do, I'm just going to do it. And in fact, not long after I said that, he sent me as a Buddhist monk to live in South Africa, in his Buddhist monastery in South Africa, just after apartheid. So very interesting times to go to South Africa. But really, actually, the country needed it. They were not, I didn't save South Africa, but I was a drop in the ocean of helping people to work with their emotions and understand themselves, etc. So when you devote yourself to a teaching, to a teacher, to a practice, to a lineage, something I've not actually said on a recording before, and it's something that a Buddhist monk said to me years ago when I was a monk. And he was from Bali, in fact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was in our monastery in Myanmar. And one day, I'm not sure the context, but he said, would you rather be the tail of a tiger or the head of a grasshopper? Now, don't take this lightly, friends, because I still think about this question like 20 years down the track.
Sure.
Would you rather be the tail of a tiger or the head of a grasshopper? Now, our Western mind, I think, if I can represent us momentarily, I think we go, I want to be the head. I want to make the decisions. Even I'm a little grasshopper, I don't care. I want to be the boss. I want to make, yep, that's my ego. Or do you want to be the tail, something, a part of something greater?
Yeah.
Even though you're just the tail, you're part of something greater.
Yeah.
And I think somewhere along the line, I got that. And I thought, I don't mind now. I'm still the grasshopper, the head of the grasshopper, this little grasshopper body that I've got, and I make my own decisions, etc. However, I have the blessings of the foundation of that tradition, and that is still powerful within me, as I'm sure it is within you.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. I love that. I wanted to ask you if you could share one tool for our listeners, something really practical that they can use any time of the day. Yeah.
So I did mention the three tools that I use on retreat.
Is that forgiveness,
forgiveness
and metta?
And metta, yeah. So sometimes, actually, I wrote a book called Forgiveness for Everyone. Yeah. It's available on my website, freestylevipassana.com. Sure. It's not for sale. It's for free download.
Beautiful.
Because all the teachings, I believe, all teachings are for free. Even yoga. Can you imagine 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago going and practicing with a teacher, and then he puts out his hand and says, this is going to cost you...
In fact, when I stayed with my teacher, we were given accommodation, food, everything. I was also given a salary. And it's bloody hell, I'm being paid to learn. How beautiful is that?
Yeah.
It was an absolute blessing. When I left, and for the first time I encountered a teacher training course. What is this like? How do you pay to be taught? Anyway.
Yes. So 9 years as a monk, I didn't pay anything. But the monastery, the monks, and even myself, I was supported by the community. It's very beautiful.
It is.
And even now, today, I don't ask for money for my teachings. Beautiful. It's up to you. Sure, if you would like to reciprocate in some ways, then I'm very happy to receive, whatever it may be. So,
in fact, that's one of the things that I love very much about Vipassana. When it dawns on you that you're being given accommodation, food, and a 10-day program without any, not just you paying, but no corporate sponsorships being taken. So, in terms of the message, I think the Vipassana system is closest to the purity. Of course, techniques can vary, you can have any technique, but the fact that it's being conducted and delivered in such a pure way, I'm not talking about the technique, I'm talking about the format of delivery, is really inspiring.
Absolutely.
And that's so beautiful that there's nothing to, you can't question against something that is not asking for you to pay for that.
Yep.
And it throws a lot of insight in the spiritual world that we live in, where it is almost as if it's a marketplace of sorts.
Yes.
And that purity is something unmatched.
Yes, I believe so. And that's why I still offer the teachings freely, even though if I run a retreat, the place They need to pay for their food, they need to pay for the accommodation, but the teaching, and if you did a course with me or you come to my session or something, if you don't like it, I don't need your money, I don't want your money or anything. You can go freely, there's no problem. And then there are other people who love it and they're so happy and they give more. So the universe right there is just teaching you that everything is in balance. We get what we get what we need, we get what we deserve, we get what we put out, we get in return. And this is also very beautiful. So the technique that I would like to offer is the technique of forgiveness. It comes in 3 parts. Forgive yourself for harming others, first step. Second step is to forgive yourself for harming yourself. And only then is the third step to forgive others who have harmed you. But having gone through the first step, where you look at the people that you've harmed in your life and you realize, oh, I was angry, I was greedy, I was selfish, I was confused. I didn't know what I was doing. I was afraid, I was stressed, and I hurt those people. Then you start to realize, when I hurt others, I simultaneously hurt myself. And then we start to realize, wow, I've been hurting myself almost all of my life. And then when I look at someone who harmed me, I realize, you're also harming yourself. And to me, that's not the full, but part of the key of forgiveness. Especially when we want to forgive others who harmed us, we realize you also harmed yourself. If you did something bad to me, that karmic connection, or that karmic reverberation, if you like, comes back to you, and you've actually harmed yourself.
Exactly.
And it's interesting that when you do step 1, step 2, step 3, you come to a point of compassion. Instead of thinking, you hurt me, I hate you, I'll never forgive you, you come to a point of, wow, you're really creating your own suffering. Just as I did in the past. And then that forgiveness becomes a daily practice. You're always checking your speech. Whether you're speaking in a pleasant manner, but in a non-harmful manner. Is it harmful to me? Is it harmful to you? Is it harmful to both of us? Is it harmful to any beings? And if you can monitor that, that becomes an amazing tool for your life. And then it goes into actions. Is this action harming you? Is it harming me? Is it harming both? Is it harming any beings? And then even our thoughts start to move in the 3 modes of karma: speech, action, and thoughts. So here, this is very powerful if you can practice that in your daily life.
Sure thing. That's really beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. And if you could give me quick, spontaneous, almost 1-sentence answers, if it could be.
Sure. I like this challenge.
The biggest mistake of your life. Let's keep it to the context of spirituality, because that's our listenership.
Not waking up earlier in my life. It took me 29 years to wake up. Was it a mistake? No, but I wish that I could have woken up earlier. However, I'm not the boss. I'm happy that I woke up when I woke up.
Second one, the role of wisdom in society, and I'll put this in context. With the political establishments and so on and so forth, there's a kind of, not just ennui, but a kind of decadence, and people are getting bored of that whole system, they're dropping out. So, the role of wisdom in society.
I think in a way we've lost our connection to family and elders, in a way. A lot of the elders that are projected to us are political. And they have huge agendas for themselves. They are not wisdom keepers. This is where we need to even go back, look in your own neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And in Bali, we live in banjar.
Yeah.
Each banjar will have their elders.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We talk to the elders.
Correct.
Ask them, what should I do with my life?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Fair. Growing up, we had a Mother Teresa to look up to. My nephew growing up now has no such person.
Yes,
So he is
yes.
having to develop ethical values from sports people, musicians, phenomenal people, but
Yeah.
may not be the best for them.
And not necessarily
Not
wisdom
necessarily wisdom keepers.
keepers. Yeah.
The last one that I wanted to ask you is, for the first time since the last 2000 plus years, we are faced with a challenge which is social media and AI. How important would it be for a reframing? Yes, everything that the Buddha said, that Krishna said, that Jesus said has stood the test of time. The human condition is almost the same. But we are encountering challenges that are faster and never before. So anything that would it require a tweak, or does ancient wisdom still deliver against this challenge?
Oh, I definitely feel that it still delivers. Yeah. So, even I've noticed myself asking AI questions. Sometimes it just tells you what it wants to tell you.
Sure.
And it's not necessarily the truth. And even though we can use it to access wisdom, I still don't believe that we should. We need our human contact and connection, and we ourselves are testimony to that. That we spent time with our masters, and these are our elders, the wisdom keepers. And AI is good for information.
Yeah.
And social media is good for communication.
Yeah.
I use these, but not for the growth of my being and understanding true nature.
Sure.
It needs to be connected and communicated, if you like, transmissions.
Yeah.
I lost the word there.
Sure.
Between humans.
Sure.
Yeah.
Free, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks.
And our audience would have really enjoyed this. If you want to reach out to Free, your website is freestylevipassana.com.
Also on YouTube, Freestyle Vipassana, and on Instagram, Freestyle Vipassana also. Yeah,
Beautiful.
pretty easy. Just keep on that track, Freestyle Vipassana. Those are my things, so you can find me, especially through Instagram. Yeah.
On behalf of all our listeners, the pleasure has been all ours listening to you. I'll leave you with the opportunity to leave our audience with one final message.
It's similar to what the Buddha said when he passed away, that all conditioned things are impermanent. And I learnt this probably on my first retreat. I experienced it, that everything is in a change, everything is flowing, everything is energy. The protons, neutrons, electrons, physicality is energy, and it's changing. The mind, if you like, you can call it frequency, spirituality, our spiritual connection, our consciousness is also changing. We are really a flow, a living flow. And when we understand that, one, we don't take things so seriously. We can be in that flow knowing, okay, this is a problem. I work through the problem. This will flow. This will change. Everything will change. And that's even a nice little reminder. This will pass.
This too shall pass.
Yeah. And not only this will pass, but I like to say, this is passing. Present moment, in present continuous, this is passing. Our little lovely chat here has come to an end. This is passing. And I have a little mantra that I like to offer, and that is, I don't know what will happen. Did you know what we were going to do here?
No.
We didn't know. They didn't know what they're going to find here. I don't know what will happen. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. We live in a spontaneous world. Anything can happen. And then I watch and learn from whatever happens. So this is my little reminder mantra. If it's not necessarily a mantra, maybe a motto or something that you can remind yourself, I don't know what will happen. Anything can happen. I watch and learn from whatever happens. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I thank you.
Namaste to you. And
Namaste.
it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, friends.